And imagine popping down to your local bakery on a crisp morning, the smell of fresh bread wafting through the air as you join the queue outside. The bell above the door jingles as you step inside, greeted by the warm smiles of the bakers who know your order by heart. In your pocket, you clutch a shiny £1 coin, its familiar weight a small comfort. It feels like a ticket to a simple pleasure, a fresh loaf, still warm from the oven. Today, that pound might just be enough to buy you a basic loaf of bread, nothing fancy, but enough to fill your kitchen with the scent of nostalgia. But if you ask your grandparents, they'll tell you stories of a different time. A time when that same pound could buy not only bread, but also a bottle of milk and even a chocolate bar for the walk home. It was a small coin with big possibilities. It might sound like a fairy tale, but it's actually the real story of how the value of money changes over the years. Prices rise, coins stay the same, and what you can buy slowly slips away. This isn't a trick or a scam. It's a powerful economic force called inflation, quietly shaping our lives and choices every single day. The coin itself hasn't changed in size or shape, but what it can buy has shrunk dramatically. Each year, it seems to stretch a little less far. That shrinking power is a perfect example of a concept that affects us all, whether we're saving for a house, planning a holiday, or just doing the weekly shop for our families. We adapt in small ways, switching to cheaper brands, cutting back on little treats, or rethinking what goes in the trolley, often without even realizing the bigger forces at play. One day, you find your budget stretched tighter than before, and you pause at the till, wondering where all the money has gone, how things got so expensive so quickly. That humble pound coin is a silent witness to decades of economic change, quietly telling the story of our lives, our choices, and our dreams. Understanding the journey of that coin, how its value shifts and why, is the first step to making your money work smarter for you, helping you plan for the future and make the most of every pound you earn. The name for this shrinking value is inflation. Inflation is the rate at which prices for goods and services rise and the purchasing power of money falls. When inflation is 3%, your money buys 3% less than it did a year ago. Your pound looks the same, but it doesn't stretch as far. Inflation is measured by tracking the price of a basket of everyday items. Not every price rises equally, but the overall trend matters. If your wages don't keep up, you're effectively earning less in real terms. To truly understand the impact of inflation on our daily lives, let's take a journey back through time and see how prices have changed over the decades. Imagine walking into a city cafe today. Ordering a simple latte will set you back over £3.50, sometimes even more, in busy city centres. But if you rewind just 20 years, that same cup of coffee would have cost you about half as much, making it a much smaller dent in your wallet. Go back even further, to the 1980s, and you'd find coffee on the menu for less than £1, a price that seems almost unbelievable today. The same dramatic rise is true for housing. In the mid-90s, the average UK house cost around £50,000, making home ownership much more accessible for many families. Fast forward to today, and that same average home now costs over £280,000, a staggering increase that puts pressure on new buyers. It's not just homes and coffee. Cinema tickets, cars, and just about everything else have seen their prices climb steadily over the years. Even a simple night out with friends, whether it's dinner, drinks, or dancing, costs far more than it did in decades past, making socializing more expensive for everyone. These aren't just abstract numbers or statistics. They represent real changes in what we can afford. affecting families and individuals across the country. If you're saving cash in a low-interest account, you might think your money is safe. But over time, inflation quietly erodes the value of those savings, making your hard-earned money worth less and less each year. The £1,000 you put away years ago now buys much less, fewer groceries, less fuel, and smaller treats for your family. Inflation isn't a new phenomenon. It's a constant force that's shaped our economy for generations, and ignoring its effects can end up costing you dearly in the long run. That's why facing inflation head-on, understanding its impact, and planning for it is absolutely key to securing your financial future and protecting your family's well-being. Have you ever wondered why it feels like the cost of almost everything keeps creeping up year after year? The answer lies in a phenomenon called inflation. But what actually causes inflation to happen in the first place? One major reason is what economists call cost-push inflation. This happens when the costs for businesses, like the price of oil, raw materials, or wages for workers, go up. When companies have to pay more to make or deliver their products, they often pass those extra costs on to us, the consumers, by raising prices. Another big factor is demand pull inflation. This occurs when lots of people want to buy goods and services, but there aren't enough to go around. When demand outpaces supply, businesses can charge more, and prices rise as a result. Government policies also play a significant role. When the government increases spending, cuts taxes, or introduces new economic measures, it can put more money into people's pockets. This extra cash can boost demand and push prices higher, especially if the economy is already running hot. Interest rates set by the Bank of England matter too. When rates are high, borrowing money becomes more expensive, so people and businesses spend less, which can slow inflation. But when rates are low, it's easier to borrow and spend, which can make inflation rise. Global events can have a sudden and dramatic impact. Wars, pandemics, and supply chain disruptions can make it harder to get goods into the country, causing shortages and driving prices up quickly. Even our expectations matter. If people believe prices will keep rising, they may buy more now or demand higher wages, which can actually help drive inflation higher, a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. As workers push for higher pay to keep up with living costs, and businesses raise prices to cover those wages, it can create a cycle where inflation feeds on itself, making it even harder to stop. So, inflation is really a complex mix of rising costs, strong demand, government decisions, global events, and even our own beliefs and behaviors. All these factors interact in ways that make prices go up. That's why inflation is so tricky to control, and why it often feels like everything just keeps getting more expensive. Inflation isn't just a news headline, it's in your weekly shop. Rising prices squeeze your food budget, forcing you to switch brands or buy less. Household bills climb, energy costs jump, and even council tax creeps up. Social lives take a hit as meals out and entertainment become pricier. High inflation means constant trade-offs and tough choices. It creates uncertainty, stress, and forces families to rethink what they can afford. The impact is real, reshaping daily life for everyone. Inflation doesn't just hit your spending, it quietly eats away at your savings. If your savings earn less interest than inflation, your money loses value every year. This is especially tough for pensioners and anyone on a fixed income. Saving for big goals, like a house deposit, gets harder as prices rise faster than your savings. It can feel like running on a treadmill, working hard but getting nowhere. That's why experts stress making your money work for you, not just sitting in cash. Investing carries risk, but doing nothing guarantees your savings will shrink. Inflation is tough, but you're not powerless. Start with a detailed budget. Track every pound in and out. Shop smarter, plan ahead, use lists, hunt for deals, and compare prices. Don't let savings sit idle. Keep an emergency fund, but look for accounts or investments that can outpace inflation. Stocks and shares ISAs, for example, can offer better long-term returns, though they carry risk. Seek independent financial advice if you're unsure. Make sure your income keeps up. Ask for a raise. Consider new skills. Or start a side hustle. Every proactive step helps you fight back against rising prices. Small changes add up, freeing cash to handle life's rising costs. Take control. Don't let inflation call the shots. It might sound odd, but a little inflation can be good. Economists aim for around 2%. It keeps the economy moving. If prices never rose, people might delay spending, slowing growth and risking recession. Modest inflation also makes fixed debts, like mortgages, easier to pay off over time. As wages rise, those payments become less of a burden. It gives central banks room to cut interest rates in tough times. The right amount of inflation is a buffer, not a burden. It's all about balance. Too much is bad, but too little can stall the economy. Inflation shapes every part of your financial life, from your weekly shop to your retirement savings. It's not just for economists. Its effects are personal and immediate. Understanding inflation empowers you to make smarter choices. It helps you see what's really happening to your money and plan ahead. Ask, is my salary keeping up? Are my savings growing in real terms? Stay informed. Talk to your employer, your bank, your family. Take charge. Don't let inflation erode your future. Make your money work as hard for you as you do for it.